Stand by us. Stand in the middle.
Okay, louder? Is that better? I gotta really get close to the microphone. Okay, my sister Molly is here, and myself, we're Elgin's daughters. And they asked us to do a slideshow and a live sketch, so Molly did the nice slideshow if you've been watching it, and then I'm just going to read you a few things we wrote down about him. Elgin Williams was born in Salt Lake City on June 19, 1943 to Elvira Maureen Hudson and George Bradley Williams. He was the middle child of 6 and had very fond memories of a happy childhood home. He idolized his 2 older brothers, Dee and Phil, and he was in 7th heaven when they included him in their day. Playing cowboys was their favorite pastime, complete with mascara-drawn mustaches and handmade rifles from pipe cleaner and wood. He also adored his 3 sisters, Rosemary, Becky, and Susan, and he would do anything for them. As a teenager, his brothers and his cousins backpacked into the Uinta Mountains where he stayed for several days. They had the best time hiking, fishing, and telling ghost stories and surviving in the wilderness. His love for the outdoors was something that he always shared with his family. It grew from that moment on, and he built a family cabin together with his dad and his brothers and their mom. For years, he enjoyed trips to this cabin to hunt and play cards with his brother Dee, and his mom or one of his sisters would come along. He would spend hours cleaning up and setting traps for the pesky pack rat who always came back.
But we used to meet every Sunday night.
Elgin attended Highland High School where he had many great friends whom he remained close with throughout his life. He greatly admired those friends and they had fond memories together. According to one of his dear friends, Elgin had the coolest shoes. Penny loafers, black and white Oxfords, and even his Vibram-soled finicky hikers. Elgin's friend Mike recalled that every sophomore guy on campus started following my dad when he was a freshman, right down to his back in the belt flat, or belt in the back flat. Elgin graduated from Highland High School in 1961 and went on to graduate from Utah State University in 1970, after serving a 2-year LDS mission in North Central States Mission. Elgin served in the Air National Guard, including active duty on National Station Treasure Island. He married his sweetheart Joan Heiner on June 30th, 1967 in the LDS Temple. Although Elgin and Joan both attended Highland High School, they ran in separate crowds. According to my dad, Joan ran in the good crowd and Elgin ran in the fast lane. They didn't actually date until almost 6 years later, after Joan had graduated college and he had returned from the mission. One of Elgin's friends was dating one of Joan's friends, and they were lined up on a blind date to attend a fireside at the bishop's house. He said it was love at first sight, and I think that's because my mom was cleaning her car when she picked her up. And he was quite impressed with the fact that any woman would vacuum her car. She never vacuumed it again. Anyway, it was love at first sight, and June 30th would have been their 54th wedding anniversary of this year. After Elgin graduated from Utah State, Joan and Elgin moved back to Salt Lake and grew a partner in the Avenues where their first daughter Stacy was born September of 1969. About a year after that, they moved to a duplex where they had their second daughter, and that's me, Andrea, and I was born in July of 1971. Joan and Elgin bought their first home on Elcrest Avenue in 1973, and their youngest daughter Molly was born there, July of 1974. He had 3 blonde-haired little girls, and they were everything to him.
Knew all of that, yes.
Elgin was a loving father, and being a dad to these 3 girls was a role that he delighted in. It was well known by all that Elgin's family was his pride and joy. He was a kind and thoughtful father, and easily brought to tears the tender, compassionate heart that he had, especially when it came to his daughters. In 1976, Joan and Elgin took a great leap and moved out to Cottonwood Heights on Grand Oak Drive, where they built their dream home and remained there for 40 years. Elgin joyfully taught his girls how to ride their bikes in that neighborhood. He spent hours running up and down the street with them until he was able to let go and watch them soar. He and Joan loved their neighborhood. They treasured their friendships that they developed on Grand Oak Drive, and they've remained friends with many wonderful people, both those who left the neighborhood and those who stayed. Elgin and Joan loved spending time working on their home. Every Saturday, Elgin would spend many late nights during the week. Elgin spent working in his yard. He built 3 beautiful decks for the family to enjoy, and he kept an immaculate yard where he loved to plant flowers, fruit trees, and a wonderful garden. Those late nights working in the yard often went hand in hand when one of his daughters was having friends, including boys, on the trampoline. Ironically, those were the same nights he decided to prune his trees in the middle of the dark, clearly watching over his girls. He always enjoyed and encouraged his daughters to stand on their own, but he never failed to be around to catch them if they fell. He loved the young role of taking his daughters and their friends trick-or-treating on Halloween. Halloween was one of his most favorite things in the world. When it came time for them to venture out on their own, he let them go, but he would always follow along behind, yards away and hide behind trees, but stay close enough to swoop in if he needed to. Elgin loved music. He loved musicals, he loved to play records, he loved to dance, and he often danced with his 3 daughters in the living room. He had a vintage camera with a really bright light. I don't know if any of you ever experienced it, but it was one of his favorite things to do was to take family movies. Elgin provided very well for his family for many years. He was in real estate investment and he was also an entrepreneur. He owned a women's clothing store, Chevron gas station, and then did a lot of work around the home. He would never give up until a task was completed. Elgin loved life. He enjoyed camping, skiing, boating, golfing, working hard in the yard and spending time in his family cabins. He loved playing cards and going to amusement parks. When his children were super young, we always celebrated his birthday every year at Lagoon. That included all of his siblings and all of their children. Everybody celebrated Elgin's birthday at Lagoon every year, and it was something everyone looked forward to. From 1989 to 2003, Elgin commuted to California to work for Metal Cloud. He went to California every Sunday night and returned home every Thursday evening. He took his family on many wonderful vacations. One of his most favorite vacations was when he used his Delta mileage to fly his mom Maureen in first class along with the family to Europe. He was thrilled to watch Maureen's excitement on the airplane, and then to see her march up every hill and ahead of all the rest of us, up to the castles and enjoy the beautiful surroundings. Elgin selflessly gave to many over the years, to family, to his mother, to his siblings, to his children, to his wife. He enjoyed serving others and helping families in need. In 1991, Elgin became a grandpa for the first time. Everyone loved being around Elgin. He had a great smile and infectious laugh. He loved a funny story or a joke, and his friends and family recall him sharing many jokes, especially the one where he yelled out, "And my name is not Steve." Elgin was an active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He served faithfully in many callings, including the high priest's group leader, counselor in the bishopric.
Okay, now you're green, but I don't know what family that is.
He enjoyed many friendships with wonderful couples in their ward.
So
later, Elgin and Joan served a 2-year mission in Kearns, Utah, and he spent life helping and serving others. He was extremely loyal and would always be there for anyone in need. Many here today have been touched by his genuine concern. He and the love that he had for everybody here at the family reunion. It was something that my dad looked forward to, planned on, let us know months in advance where it was going to be, and we wanted us to be here with him. My dad was preceded in death by his wife Joan, his parents Brad and Maureen, his brother Philip, and his grandson Chandler. He was survived by his 3 daughters, Stacy, Andrea, and Molly, and 9 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren, which has now become 4. His 4th great-grandchild was just born this month. So we miss him dearly, and we love you all very much, and I'm thankful to be here representing him tonight, and I'm glad you all love him as much as we love you.
Good for you.
Scott Crawford's going to talk about joy for a few minutes.
Well, I need to explain why I'm the one talking about joy. Joy is my sister, and Tom are brothers and sisters. So that's the connection we have. So unfortunately, Joy never had children, so we don't have double spouse or double cousins there. But Joy loved her nieces and nephews because she wasn't able to have children of her own. So that was her family. All of her nieces and her nephews. That's the ones she loved to be around. Joy passed away last November from cancer. We thought that she had beat it. She got breast cancer probably about 8-9 years ago, which we thought she beat. And she was right at that period of time when everybody says, well, looks like you're going to make it. Well, then things fell apart. She went back and she had cancer that was basically ravaging her body and just taking her slowly out of this life. So that was Joy, but she loved life and she kept telling me every time I'd see her. Now, those of you who don't know, Tom, her husband, was killed in an industrial fire about 11 years ago. And so she had been without Tom for that period of time. And so when she passed away, I had the privilege of being able to serve in the LDS temple in Draper. And I happened to be in the temple that day when she passed away. Now this was right at COVID time in November, and no one was basically going in and out of the temple unless they had an appointment. And I was serving that day in the temple, and I happened to come out of the temple helping a bride and groom come out of the exit door, and immediately I looked out and my wife was just walking onto the temple grounds. And I happened to be standing outside when I saw her come. And I thought, well, why is she coming? She knows she can't get in the temple. But she was dressed in her street clothes, so I thought something's up. And I immediately yelled out for her to come over to me, and she came. And the chances of her and I meeting that day at that exact moment is one of God's small miracles in our lives. Because she came and told me that Joy had passed away. And of course it was a tender moment. But I know that the Lord's hand was in all these things. Her suffering was finally over in November, and the week before, her last thing she told me, Scott, I'm going to beat this. I'm not ready to die. But death can be sweet, because now she's with her beloved Tom. And we're grateful that she is. We loved her dearly, and she was one of 6 children. She was the oldest of siblings. She had 5 brothers, so she was a little outnumbered. My favorite thing to call Joy was Floyd. Don't ask me why, but whenever I saw Joy, it was always Floyd for me. It was kind of a pet name I gave her. We had a close relationship, Joy and I did, and even closer still since we married a brother and sister of the same family in the Williams family. We love the Williams family. We're so grateful to be a part of that. Anyway, that's Joy in a nutshell. So, yeah, it did. She was always happy. Joy was happy to the very end. So, thank you.
I don't know if anybody noticed when you drove in, the big flower garden when you first came in the entrance is spelled out with flowers that say Joy. I thought that was a neat deal. So we lost Kathy too, and I think Barbara, are you going to come up for just a second and say something about your sister?
Kathy was a pretty amazing person. She was very intelligent. She graduated from the U and got an MBA from the U also. And then she worked as an administrative assistant for the man who was in charge of the Bureau of Economic and Business Research up at the U. They did all kinds of stuff on the business climate in Salt Lake and in Utah. She was always surveying people that came in town and how much money they were going to spend and all that, so they would have that. And I guess the thing I remember most about Kathy is she is one of the most generous people that I've ever known. She was on the list of every charity known to man. When I started doing her finances, I could not believe how many charities she donated to. And some of them she set up regular donations. She was a very generous person. She was also very generous with me and with my children.
Not on mobile.
And it was special to my family because my brothers and my other sister all lived out of state. So she was our extended family. And really the only extended family my children really knew. But she just loved them and was the perfect aunt. And was just generous and caring up to the very end. It was sad to see her go. I miss her a lot. But she lived a good life and was very good to us.
Thank you, Barbara. A couple of news items. Elgin's brother Dee, well, Rosemary's brother, Susan's brother. But anyway, Uncle Dee fell recently and hit his head and also got a hematoma in his leg. So that's why he's not here. He's down in St. George recuperating. So remember him in your prayers. And also, Kurt Allen has been for some time suffering from prostate cancer. So remember him in your prayers as well. Okay, we're going to have a little family history quiz now. If you don't have a pencil, you can watch on the screen. But this is going to be graded, so be careful. So let's see if I can get this to work. Okay, if you don't have a copy yet, you'll get one in a minute, but we'll just... All right, question number 1. They can see it if they haven't gone on a date. No, right, don't say it if you know the answer. Right. Really? Okay, well then you might correct the test maker, whoever that was.
Because I know that, well, can I just say it then?
Wait till we get to that question.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the first question. Oh, if anybody has to take off, we're also needing funds for next year's reunion. And there's a can that also has a Venmo address on it. It's what is it, $90, Dave, to rent the pavilion. And then there's all the postage and stuff like that. So, and the tablecloth. So if you can help us keep it alive by contributing in a can or by Venmo, that would be great. Jeannie has something.
I just wanted to say, if everybody helps put something in there, you'd be surprised we can get to that total if everyone will help. Because they've upped the cost of this event.
There's no question mark on anything.
those of you who were with the family a couple of years ago, I know we kind of deviated from the normal procedure. Do you remember going to that rec hall out at Sandy when we had it out there? And then we're not having to cater to the whims of Salt Lake City. I can get that every year. So if that is something you want to consider or think about moving forward to where we have it out there, I know it might not be quite as central as this may be, but that is always available at no cost. So if that's something that people might be interested in, we have the inside facility if it rains or whatever, plus there's a lot of grass outside for this type of thing as well. So that's just something to consider if that's something that people might be interested in doing.
Mark always talks about the Williams customer.
Thanks, Tim. Okay, here we go. First question. Who played basketball for the... Oh, these are all absolutely true questions, by the way. For the LDS Mormons basketball team. Uncle Ned, Uncle John. No. Yeah, there was another name, but I didn't want to make it too obvious. Just so they, on their jerseys, I'll show you in a second, it actually says LDS Mormons, but there was another name they were known by. So mark your answers in your head or on your paper, and we'll reveal the answer with the next slide. Beep, time's up. Click, click, click. So do you recognize that guy on the far left? Uncle Jack. Yes, your dad. Yeah. He was in Australia. It was actually called the Australian Missionary Basketball Team or something like that. But he was their center. That's a joke. But yeah, and they actually toured the mission and were a pretty big hit. Yeah, Rosemary, please.
My dad also played for them.
Serious?
I have a picture just like that with my dad in the
Wow. Wow.
There you go.
So Brad went to Australia as well?
No. This one's in Australia.
This was in Australia.
No, Bradley played for LDS High School.
Oh, yeah, this was when he was a missionary in Australia.
He didn't go to Australia. He went to Southern States.
That's still great. That's still great. Okay, well, we'll give you credit if you put Uncle Brad on this quiz. You have to get self-scoring, so keep track. Next question. How did Grandma Williams save money? Gold strike stamps, collected soda pop bottles, saved soap slivers in a netting, or watered down the 7-Up? What?
She did all of the above.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, she probably did all the above. The only one I've heard of about was it from Barbara? Yeah. Barbara said that she would save the little slivers of soap. Yes, yes, I don't remember that, but Rosemary does.
And I do remember saying, no, Grandma, get mouth soda. I know where it is. I can get water in here, right?
Water down the soda. So we'll give credit for either answer, or all of those. Jeannie.
Pieces of soap. She did that all the time.
That's what we're using.
I know she wouldn't waste anything.
No. She was so cool. Yeah. Okay, next question. Who hitchhiked across the U.S. after his mission? Uncle Bradley Williams, David Blood, Elgin Williams, or Uncle John Williams? I didn't know this one.
Is he
Wasn't Elgin.
It wasn't my dad.
It wasn't Brad.
It was John. Was it John?
It was Uncle John.
He was
Uncle
from
Jack.
Australia, that's why.
Does anyone have any details as to why he did that? Yeah, Jeannie said it was safer. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. Sally, do you know?
Nancy.
Oh, Nancy. Don't know? Okay. Next question. What?
I thought it was like Jewel Tea for business, but
Oh, with with Jewel Key. I thought so too, but I'm not sure. Anyway, that was Uncle Jack. Okay, next question. Oh, there's the answer. Who shot holes in Grandpa's garage door with a cannon? David Blood, Mark Blood, Philip, or Uncle Ned? Gene.
Uncle Ned.
Yep. It was Uncle Ned. They had, and it's been donated to the Pioneer Museum in Lagoon. You can go and see it in the Pioneer Museum. It was a signal cannon brought across the plains by the pioneers, and Dad would put marbles in it and firecrackers, and he and Jim Gibson would shoot holes in Grandpa's garage. Next question. How many of these roofs did Grandpa Williams fall off of? Sugar Beet Factory in Spanish Fork. You've probably driven by that if you've gone down I-15. It's still there. 2 stories. The Continental Bank Building. Grandfather was a roofer for a period of years. The Continental Bank Building, 13 stories. A home in Salt Lake City, and or a home in Sugar House.
Probably all of the above.
Yeah, Tim's got it. It's all of the above. Grandpa fell off every one of these roofs. Fortunately, he didn't hit the ground on all 4 of them. On the beet factory, or the sugar factory, he caught himself on the cornice. On the Continental Bank Building, it was a vent that dropped all the way to the bottom, and he caught himself on the edge. There was a piece of felt over it. He didn't see it and almost stepped to his doom. And these other 2 homes, something broke his fall. And in his life sketch, it says that he acknowledges the hand of the Lord, that he never suffered a broken bone.
Well, the thing about him, he said he was like a cat. He had 9 lives.
Yeah, he was like a cat.
Because he had many Russian spinach. Yes.
Do you know of any other specific, Rosemary?
Other than his falls, he had really bad, I'm trying to remember if it was diphtheria.
Yeah.
And his mother kept his windpipe open by taking a spoon and scooping out the congestion. I mean, there were just, I can't remember all of them, but there were a lot of them. He really did have a lot of Russian death.
Yeah, we were lucky to have Grandpa as long as we did. Okay, next question. Oh, and that's the answer. He fell off of all of them. What did Grandma Williams repair in her workshop in the garage? Sewing machines, furniture, or dolls?
I'm going to say sewing machine. Her Barbara, what did she repair? I don't know. That's why I'm saying it's...
I think it was, who was it that gave me the answer to this? Was it Ann?
no, but I didn't. But I think it's sewing machines.
Sewing machine, no. I can't remember who told me, but it was furniture. She would upholster or reupholster her furniture. She was, again, like Rosemary said, very frugal. And somebody remembers going in, I can't remember who it was. Yeah, she might have. Anyway, she was amazing. How many patriarchal blessings did grandfather give? Jeannie.
2,000?
2,000.
3,000?
2,000.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, the answer Barbara told me. It was 2,000. And most or all of those were transcribed by Margaret. But that's a lot of blessings. All right. What was the favorite attraction at Aunt Margaret and Uncle Mel's house that was in their home? Was it their electric train that was downstairs, or Uncle Margaret's cooking, or was it the white ash tree in the backyard? Tree. Yeah. Somebody fell out of the tree and broke their arm. I can't remember who it was. Was it Barbara? Yeah. But that tree was unbelievable. It had, it's the best climbing tree I've ever seen in my life. You could climb forever, and it had a branch that went parallel to the ground. You could climb up it. All right, I think we're about to the end. What was the name of the grocery store that Grandpa and Grandma ran for 20 years? Williams Grocery, Red and White Store, or Douglas Grocery? This is a trick question.
Oh, they didn't have it.
No, you're right. It was on, Douglas Street was one of the streets that was on. So it was Douglas Grocery, but they affiliated with Red and White Stores, which is kind of like Associated Grocers. So it was Red and White Douglas Grocery. And I think that's it. No, one more. How many of these statements are true about Sarah Morgan Payne? She was born in Wales in 1884, came to America, was 14, lived with Grandma and Grandpa for 30 years, and lived to be 100.
I want to know, because I don't
He said no, but just a minute.
a disagreement with my sister Susan about this. What was the connection between Grandma and Aunt Sarah? How did they become such close friends?
Diane, come and tell her. My wife Diane knows the answer. Yes.
Barbara maybe knows too. I don't remember.
Okay, so Sarah Morgan, her parents were baptized in Wales.
Yes.
And the missionary that baptized their family was a brother to Fairsmore Little's wife.
A brother to his wife. Okay.
And so they wanted to come to America, and he said, well, I think that my sister has 2 little children and can use somebody to help her in the home. So he wrote to his sister, Fairsmore Little's wife, and she said, yes, come. So Sarah came alone and lived with the Littles for a while, helping with the children.
Helping with Susan Clare and Fairmore. No.
No, what's
Susan Clare was, no, that's right.
What
was his wife? What was her?
It's something like, I think it starts with an M, like more
Oh, it was sort of Frenchy, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
I think so. I don't remember how many wives did he have.
I think he had 3.
And I can't remember which wife it was. It wasn't.
Susan Clare is the Hiram Bradley possibly.
So after she lived, so Hiram Bradley, so after she lived with them for a while, then her father had enough money to bring him and his daughter Florence over to America. And they lived with Hiram Bradley and Susan Clare.
Okay, well, so there was a connection.
Yes.
Between Hiram Bradley. Okay.
Yeah, and then
Which was Grandma's parent.
yeah, and so she was kind of, and then she came over to after the Littles and
Highland must have scored.
lived with them. Sarah lived with your grandmother's family, with your grandmother's family, and then came and lived with your grandparents after that. not grandparents, your great-grandparents. They lived with Highland Bradley, and then she came and lived because she was
Decker was little Sherman's wife, the worker, the wine worker.
right, and that wasn't the wife. It was Morrison or something like that. Yeah, the wife's main name. Anyway, that was her name. I'll have to go away. Yeah, but she was like a big sister to Catherine. Yeah. Well, yeah, and then she got married in about 1912, and she had one son, and then her husband died after about 2 years. And it wasn't Alaska.
If you're really good at tasting things, you should be able to tell how something.
Yeah.
And oatmeal, but there's
I
only.
wouldn't have ever guessed that, but Becca told me. She's like, I think they have a cinnamon to this. Becca has really good.
Okay,
It's just like me, I have a thing for.
thank you. So those are all true. There's Aunt Sarah at 100.
Like I'm
That's
trying
your
to
birthday.
Dipping
Okay, this is the main question, not on your thing. But it's
sizzler.
racked your mind. How many people in the family tree? We've got 4 families. We've got Brad and Maureen, Jack and Marge, Margaret and Mel, and Ned and Hill and Jean. And
Well, which one would you prefer?
if there's a divorce, I just, I didn't know what to do there. I just counted it. So
This
write
one?
down a number. There's a prize for this one.
So they're equal in price.
Same question you asked 2 years ago?
Yeah, same question I asked 2 years ago. What? Yeah, if you won, just no. Yeah, guess again. Guess again. Because you probably forgot. You're old like me.
Sideways, it would fit like that.
Okay.
Where do we write it down? Just on the back?
Yeah, just write it down because I'm about to reveal it.
All up at the 426. We're on the Price is Right. $1.
Okay, has everybody got their answer? Jeremy, did you figure this out?
I say 426.
No, just hang on to it. Hey, thank you. All right. Let me hear some guesses.
500.
How many?
500.
500 is too high. 469 is closer.
426.
How many?
426.
How many people in the family tree? 426 is a little too low, but close.
445.
445 is very close.
46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 52,
You're going in the wrong direction. 434 is close, but a little low. Yeah, I think Karen's got it. It's 442. 442 people on the family tree.
It'd be kind of fun to see them all here, though.
Oh, Vonna
Mom.
has got the story she's going to tell real briefly. And then I think, who was?
This is the one I got 2 years ago, right?
Somebody else was going to say something. Maybe we need Vonna. Okay. Yeah. So Vonna's going to say something and then Spencer. Come on up.
Me or you?
You?
You gonna set the stage for me?
Yes.
No, you set the stage for me.
Well, shipping time is going to be the same.
Well, I've been working on the Williams family for months and months and months, trying to put together a little book for my children. And what I want to talk about is John Williams, who is the father of George, because I didn't know anything about him, even though I'd done some research on him years ago, but more than his birthday and his death date. And when he came to America. And I found some very interesting things about him, and I'd like to share just a few of them with you. John was blessed with a special gift of healing. He was often called on to administer to the sick in his warring state. After World War I, during the terrible flu epidemic, he was on constant call to bless people who had contracted the disease. Although he ministered to many people, he never caught the flu. One day, as John was administering to the sick, he knocked on the door of a Brother Price, wanting him to be his companion. Sister Price said he was sick, and she'd put him in a hot tub to give him a bath and make him feel better. John told her to tell him to get out of his bath, put his clothes on, and journey with him. John promised her that if he would do this, he would be well. Later in a testimony meeting, Brother Price said he was afraid to do what John had asked, but he did it and was immediately healed and did not suffer again through the epidemic. John told of an interesting experience he'd had. He was very tired and somewhat impatient from going night and day to bless the sick. One time he was journeying to give a blessing and was complaining to himself as he walked along. He thought, why do I have to go so constantly to these sick people? Suddenly he heard a voice behind him say, why are you complaining? You haven't gotten the flu, have you? You still have your health, don't you? The voice was so clear he turned around to see who had spoken to him, but no one was there. He continued to walk and again heard the voice asking him the same question. He concluded the Spirit of the Lord was speaking to him, and he ceased to complain and went about blessing the sick with the church he had. I was very impressed that he was such a spiritual man and had that special gift of being able to heal people. I just want to share one more thing that some of you are too young, probably don't even know who President Harold B. Lee is, but he was president of the church. And at one time, John worked with him in the church. He was the high priest quorum president, and he was working under Harold B. Lee. And one of his grandsons tells this story. One of Grandpa John T. Williams' grandsons, Richard Shelton Williams, was to be employed as a seminary teacher in the church education system. To be hired, it was necessary for him to be interviewed by a general authority. Richard went to the church office building for the interview. He was assigned to visit with Harold B. Lee, then of the Quorum of the 12. Elder Lee first asked some family questions. Knowing that he had known Grandpa Williams, Richard said, I am a grandson of John Thomas Williams. Elder Lee hesitated briefly, then said, ah yes, John too. He was one of the most honest men I have ever known. He was also one of the most stubborn men I have ever known. They had a good life over there. But I think he must be a pretty special man, and I never really knew anything about him, so I wanted to share a little bit about him with you. Thank you.
This one?
Spencer, are you going to say a few? Okay.
Lisa's supposed to be up.
Okay, I'm going to read a story about Catherine tells. It says this is a traumatic experience that she had in her life. After the school year was over, we would pack our big wagon and hitch up the horses and start out. It would take us 2 days to make the trip. They went to Holiday Park at the head of the Weber River where they had a cabin. We always stopped at the summit in Parley's Canyon the first night. A Mrs. Gibbons ran a small hotel there, and we always stayed with her. I remember one year when we got to the river, the bridge was washed out, and Papa had to unhitch the horses, and everyone had to take turns riding the horses as they swam the rushing river. I thought it was great fun, but my dear mother was petrified. We all made it across safely, although we were very wet. We had wonderful summers up there for the most part. I remember them with great pleasure. I did have one serious accident up there. I had been turning the large stone for my father to sharpen his axe. He was building a bridge across the river. Unbeknown to my father, I crawled out on the log behind him. The water was high and noisy, so he didn't see or hear me. Just as I got close to him, his axe glanced off a knot in the log and cut me severely on the forehead. My poor father was broken-hearted. He carried me into our cabin, and Mother, realizing something had to be done quickly, gave me chloroform and put 5 stitches in my head. Later, Mother said that as she was packing something told her to pack the chloroform. She put it in the box and then took it out thinking it was silly to take something like that. But again, she felt impressed to take it, so she put it back in the box. Some weeks after she had put the stitches in my head, a medical doctor came up to our camp and Mother asked him to take out the stitches. He refused, saying it would be very unprofessional. My mother replied, "Well, I put them in and I'm sure I can take them out." And she did.
I just want to say that Elgin was supposed to do this reunion, and our family was supposed to do it. But Ned's children stepped up and said they would do it. And I want to thank them for that effort and to make tonight possible. And I love all of this family. And I miss seeing y'all. So it's really good. Thank you.
I thought I'd just give a shout out to my brother Dave, because he, I don't know, he must have felt something, because he went ahead and made the reservation months ago. This is the only time we could get it was even close to this date. But I feel like he was moved to do that. He won't take credit for it, but he's good. Shout out to Dave. Tyler has a birthday. Does anybody else have a birthday today?
Mike.
Who? Mike? Okay, we're going to sing happy birthday to Mike and Tyler. Tyler, where are you? Here, buddy. Come on, Tyler. Okay, come on. Mike, come here. Let's say happy birthday to these guys. All right, ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mike and Tyler. Happy birthday to you. Woo! Thank you, everybody, for coming. We love you all. And the Jack and Marge family have this for next year. So we will be well, yeah, great, yeah. And we'll turn everything over to Tim. And is this about a good time of year? Yeah, the Saturday would be better. Saturday would be better. Okay. Second weekend in September.
So, are we doing a party like we did before?
Hey. Great. Well, you need some for...
I was saying you're 85.
Last call for Shave Ice. We got a half a block left. Topical.
I'm gonna go grab the producer.
What? Where's the what? Oh, maybe she didn't give it to him.